Hello, everybody, and welcome into the North Star Takes podcast with your host, Jacob Luberta, and our resident Gopher expert and friend of the show, Jackson LaFave, here to talk some men's Gopher hoops. You'll notice Bailey's out tonight. He's off enjoying the Arizona sun right now, but he'll be back soon enough. But the show must go on. Before we jump into our conversation here about our lovely Gopher Hoops team off to the hot start, I just want to remind you to hit that subscribe button below to continue to consume all of this Minnesota sports content, whether it be this basketball team we're about to break down or the other teams we talk about on this channel as well, from the pro sports scene to the college scene. Doesn't matter. We have all the content you want. And you also hit that like button to spread the news about Gopher basketball as well as our podcast in general. And feel free to give us a follow and interact with us on Twitter and Instagram as well. On Twitter, you can follow us at North Star Takes, and on Instagram, North Star Takes Podcast. But Jackson, let's just get right down to it. I've been kind of getting excited for this one just because it's the first time we've talked about Gopher basketball on the pod, and they've gotten, quite frankly, off to a better start than anybody could imagine. All the pundits picked this team to finish dead last across the board. I don't think I saw one single expert in the fall of college basketball be like, yep, this Gophers team's it's finishing anywhere but last. So the start 7-0, that's a huge surprise. I know we haven't played any great teams yet, but you got to say, or you got to recognize that in the last two games we've won against Power 5 teams on the road. So I think that's nothing to scoff at. So I think there's a lot to like about the beginning of this Ben Johnson era here with the first-year head coach. But I guess what are your early thoughts of how the season's gone? What do you think of Ben Johnson? What do you think of the crew on this team? I know we lost our top 7 scorers from last year, so it's a whole new crew.
Yeah, well, Alberto, I appreciate you having me back on the pod. As you know, I'm a bigger Gopher fan than anyone out there, especially Gopher
Oh my God.
basketball. They've been my team since like 2008. I've been following them super closely. All the way back to the Mbakwa era. That was just my team, and I've just went to the University of Minnesota, gone to all the games at the barn, and I drink that maroon and gold Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you
But
do.
I mean, I want to be fairly realistic, and going into the season, I obviously didn't think that we'd be that good, losing pretty much everyone on the team, um, besides Eric Curry and Isaiah Enan. I guess, but Isaiah Enan is is injured and he's not going to be playing. Um, so I mean, I was expecting us to finish definitely towards the bottom, if not last. And I really had no expectations. We had a new coach who was like Ben Johnson, like hardly any experience. I know he coached with under Patino for a couple of years. I believe he went to Xavier for a year or two or something. Um, Really, I had no expectations at all coming in, and I'm pleasantly surprised so far with how this season is going. This team tends to like the flow of the game is really nice. This team shares the ball. We actually play defense, and it just seems like it's a really well coached team. And I know we haven't played amazing competition. I mean, we did beat Mississippi State on the road over the weekend, and Mississippi State is actually like a lot of the experts are saying that they're going to make it to the tournament. So this team is tough and they play together. But I think as we get into the Big Ten season, things might get a little bit rough just because of the depth and the size and overall athleticism. But overall, I'm having a really fun time watching so far.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you brought that analysis there with Mississippi State. I didn't realize they were actually that um, far in the picture as far as being a tournament team. So I think that's a huge win for us. And Peyton Willis went off. I know I saw that. I don't think a lot of people watch this game just because it was a Sunday afternoon. It was
Yeah.
during the NFL NFL slate, and including the Vikings game. So probably not a lot of eyes on it. But I mean, Willis had 24, 5, and 7, I think, and he hit a big three at the end when the game was tied after timeout with 38 seconds left. I saw. So I think that's huge. He's good veteran presence, and I think our best player this year is probably Jamison Battle. He's averaging just about 18 a game, but I think there is some things to like about this team that you wouldn't necessarily expected it this much. So I think that's awesome, and we're really gonna, like you said, I think you gotta hold back just a little bit and take foot off the gas until we play some Big Ten games, and that starts this week with a couple here against Michigan teams with Michigan State at the barn, and then I think we're going to Michigan on Saturday. So I think they're both ranked teams, I believe, at this point in
Yeah,
time.
they are. Yep.
So that's going to be huge for us, and I'm really curious to see how we look, and especially with Michigan, I think just because of Hunter Dickinson and the just the inside presence there. I think they had a little tough time getting him going early this year, but I don't know. I feel like the Gophers could be a kind of a team that he basically takes flight against and
Mm-hmm.
really starts to put something together, but and really start centering the offense around them. But I I could go on and on, I guess, about how surprised I am, but I just it's a full team of transfers, like plain and simple. So it's like, how do you put expectations on so many unknowns? And I think there's a lot to learn going forward. But I think it's worth getting excited about right now. I'd like to think we're at least gonna finish not dead last in the Big Ten. I feel like there's got to be at least one team that's worse than us out there. I'm not sure who that is this early, but with that said, I let's kind of get into the expectations for the rest of the season. Then who do you expect to perform? Who do you think is going to be a guy that could not only help us this year but help us beyond this year? And maybe if how quick of a window, if you don't think this Gopher team is a tournament team this year, which most wouldn't, I don't think it is. But how quick do you think we could be a tournament team in the future?
Yeah, good questions. I mean, still, there's a lot of unknowns because we haven't actually gone into the Big Ten slate yet.
Mhm.
But my expectations are like they have improved. And I agree with you. I don't think we're going to finish dead last. I think we might finish above a couple teams just based on the experience and just how this team plays and the coaching. Just by watching some of these games early on, it's clear that this team is just really it has a lot of chemistry. It shares the ball, like I mentioned before. And I think just by having a team of a bunch of seniors and veterans with it seems like really well coaching, the the floor on this team is not that low, I feel like, and the ceiling though, just given all the mid-major talent, so lacking in athleticism and size, mainly with these players playing in mid-major conferences before, you don't have that high of a ceiling though. So um, so I think this team, like for example, if this team had a bunch of athletic, freshmen potentially, like a team like that maybe that's talented, that has a lot of freshmen, might have a lower floor than this team, just because this team has so much experience. So that's why I just don't think this team is gonna be a total disaster. And I know that there's a lot of seniors on this team, and so it's tough to predict the future, I guess, with this current team. There are a couple players that I imagine are going to, maintain and play multiple years. Obviously, Jameson Battle is only a sophomore, and he's already, I would argue, is the best player, either him or Peyton Willis. And Jameson Battle is we haven't seen that type of shooting since I would say Gabe Calisher's freshman year at the U. And I mean, he's a lefty. It's a beautiful stroke. He takes NBA threes, and it looks awesome. He takes step backs, and he's from the University of Minnesota. Went to De La Salle, and so I think he can be a nice centerpiece to have around this team, and especially to bring in some more Minnesota talent. And but really overall, I think we can't really look at the existing players on this team. I think we just have to look at the coaching staff and just kind of like the culture and the foundation that Ben Johnson is setting with this team. Just with like the I feel new kind of reconnected in-state recruiting, and I mean he has Dave Thorson on the bench, that longtime De La Salle coach. That I mean, I just love that guy. Follow him on Twitter. He seems a little crazy at times, but like I mean, I just love that guy, and he clearly has amazing connections. I mean, Mir Coffey was tweeting about how like Ben Johnson was like really the only reason why he committed to the University of Minnesota. So I just think the expectations for but beyond this year, I think they should be high, and I think I'm excited. I mean, granted, this year I'm just kind of just watching for enjoyment. I really have no expectations, and so this could be just kind of a fun laid back year for us. And heck, if they maybe upset a team, maybe like a Joey King type game, that's
Yes.
always fun. So we'll see.
I I totally agree. I think this is a good culture building year. I think it's going to play this team's advantage, in my opinion, that they don't have the expectations there of really needing to do something this year. So I think everybody can play loose. I think they can go out there every night and play with nothing to lose, because if they walk away, I mean, or walk away with an ugly loss some nights, like it's not the end of the world because there are some good teams out there and we're still like in year one with this coach. So that's not a big deal. And we're picked to finish dead last in the conference. So like there's nowhere to go but up here. So I think there's a lot to get excited about. Just be here for the ride and watch the games and see what happens. And like you said, I think it's big going back to the coaching staff with Ben Johnson and Dave Thorson having the really deep roots in Minnesota high school basketball, being really plugged into the AAU scene. I think that's going to help us get some more top tier recruits down the road that are from Minnesota to keep those guys like the Jalen Suggses of the world, or even like McKinley Wrights or something like that. I mean, these guys, Zeke Naji, another one. I think there's a lot of guys that are in the NBA now, whether they play significant minutes or not. There's a wide range of them, but they're at least good college players that could help a team or help a program like the Gophers. So hopefully we get the future versions of those guys, and I think that could really propel us into being a consistent tournament team, which I think is the goal really, because I think with Patino and Tubby, we basically got to the point where we're making the tournament probably every other year or every 3 years, I guess. So I think we'd like to see a little bit more consistency than that, but I think with Ben Johnson being a guy that seems like players can really rally around and get behind. And I, I think this is a likable guy. Not to say I think Patino and Tubby were in their own way, but at the same time, I think they were more focused on the outside of Minnesota than really uh, what what makes the U special and being the only D1 school in state that you should be able to dominate in, especially when there's really a rich crop of basketball talent just right right outside your arena there in the metro area. So I think I'm pretty excited that this team feels like it's on the up and up, albeit it's very early in the Ben Johnson tenure and he hasn't gotten a chance to recruit too many guys yet. But I think there's certainly a lot to get excited about. And you actually know off the top of your head what these I know Ben Johnson's got a couple recruit commitments, but I'm not sure if you're too familiar with them or not. I personally am not, but
Yeah, so I don't really know them that well, but I mean, I
Mhm.
have a list right up here, and well, we have 3 incoming recruits for the next season,
Mhm.
um, and they're all from Minnesota, and
Okay.
they're all 3-star recruits. So they're all, nothing special, but I think the fact that you have 3 players from Minnesota that Ben Johnson was already able to get,
Mhm.
um, and without any expectations. I mean, these guys have no idea how the system is really going to go. I think they really only probably committed to the U just based on kind of some promises that Ben Johnson made. I mean, they don't have any tape or anything to watch.
Oh,
So I think that's good. And I mean, I just think about Richard Pitino's first recruiting season where he kind of first came in, and there was really no one at all that came in. And it took him a while to get some recruits like Amir Coffey and Daniel Oturu. But I remember like he brought in some transfers. Remember Malik Smith and
yes.
and the other
DeAndre
guy
Matthew.
and DeAndre Matthew. Like, so
Yeah.
so goes the guys like that. So it takes a while to bring in these recruits, but he's already on the right start with those three players, and I don't really know much about them, but I assume they're going to be, nothing special, but also, who knows? I mean, there's no expect. I have no idea how those guys are, but
Mhm.
just the fact that they're from Minnesota is a good sign.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great start, and I'm glad you pointed that out with the difference between Johnson and Patino there with getting the three-star commitments. Because, like you said, in Patino's first recruiting class, there wasn't a whole lot there, but I'm pretty sure was Jordan Murphy actually one of the first recruits he must have gotten here, and that had a
He,
lot to do with Ben Johnson too, didn't it?
I believe, yeah, and Jordan Murphy wasn't that big of a recruit either.
No,
He was like a
diamond in the
three
rough.
3-star or maybe even 2-star recruit. I think he had it was between Minnesota and VCU with him. So
Mhm.
there's some pretty quality basketball programs after him, more mid
Yeah,
majors though. But yeah, and Jordan Murphy turned out to be like one of the greatest rebounders in Big Ten history. So
yeah,
there you go. So who knows what these guys turn out to be? But really, I'm
exactly.
just I'm just excited because it seems like the coaching is already improved, and just the culture is just a lot more lively and connected. I mean, if you remember the last couple Patino years, especially his final season, it seemed like everything was just a grind, like just
Yeah,
to win games, just with uh, just a bunch of dribbling around, some ISO, some defense. It was just a grind.
yeah.
So so like especially with Marcus Carr, it seemed like he would dribble the ball around for 20 seconds and check up a shot. Whereas these early games, granted against not the best opponents, we're passing it a bunch. There's a bunch of back cuts, and we can make open threes. So who knows? I'm gonna have a good time watching this team. We're gonna win. We're gonna lose a lot just because we're gonna get dominated by the bigger athletic Big Ten teams. But I think we're gonna definitely have at least one or two upsets just based on the veteran presence. This team, Peyton Willis, it has become an elite shot maker. So even if he gets hot, I bet we can knock off one of those top teams just based on that.
That'd be sweet. I think I like that prediction, having a chance at knocking off at least one or two ranked teams. I mean, you're going to play them quite often in this Big Ten. Like it seems like it's been the last few years here, at least. So I think you're going to get plenty of chances at it. So you'd think you'd break through at least one or two nights, and I think that'd be a really good signature win for Johnson in his first season here. And like you said, Peyton Willis, definitely a much improved player from when he was here last time. It was kind of weird for a guy to transfer out and then transfer back in. That doesn't happen every day. So he must have a pretty strong connection there with the coach. And I guess I don't know. Maybe not sure if him or Battle lead the team in scoring this year. I'd imagine Battle, but I think those would be the two guys you want to pay the most attention to this season. But speaking of that, and again, speaking to the rest of this season specifically, if you had to put a number on it, let's say how many wins this Gopher team is getting to, how many would you say?
So we're at 7 right now.
Yep.
I'm not sure how many more non-conference games we play after these two, but
I think we got 3 more.
3 more, okay.
Yeah.
And I think they're all against Cupcakes, I believe.
Yep. I think it's like Corpus Christi, Green Bay, and Elkhorn State or something.
Okay, so assuming we have those 3 wins, we're gonna get 10.
Yep.
And I forget how many games we play in the Big Ten now. I think it's around
20.
It's around. I think it might be 20 now.
I think it's 20 now. I think it used to be 18, but I think it's been 20 the last year or two, maybe.
So we'll probably win. It's tough. 4 or 5 in the Big Ten, I would say. 4 or 5 with I would say one signature kind of upset. Like Joey King, Indiana moment.
Yes.
So so I think that's what's going to happen, and we'll beat like Nebraska and Northwestern and stuff. But hey, it's gonna be fun. No expectations.
Yes.
So don't watch this team through a microscope. Just have fun with it and look for the growth in future seasons.
Yes, I totally agree. I think that's what it's about, building momentum into next season and just picking up a win here and there where you can get it. Hopefully against a rival if you can, like a Wisconsin or an Iowa or something. Those wins always feel sweet no matter what the sport. I know this year that was winning the Axe with Gopher football is always a special occasion. No matter the kind of season you're having, it's always, at least for that weekend, it's just huge. So I think for the basketball team to do it too, if they can pick up a win against either Wisconsin or Iowa, and I believe Wisconsin's a ranked team now. They've rattled off quite a few wins in a row, a couple against pretty good opponents, and then Iowa, I know they just lost Garza, so I'm not really sure what they're looking like this year. But I saw they played close against Purdue the other night, and Purdue, I think, is one of the best teams in the country this year. So
they are the best, I think. Well, Gonzaga, Duke, but Purdue is just so deep, and they have all their guys back. I forget what their big is. I forget his name, but he's back again. So yeah. I forget his name.
Whatever. I know.
It'll come to me.
I keep wanting to say Caleb Swanigan, but it's not.
It's not Caleb Swanigan.
No.
Speaking of Iowa, though, they do have Jordan Bohannon back for like a 10th year, so there is that.
When I think of Jordan Bohannon now, I think of some incident he had off the court this offseason where he got like punched in the face by somebody, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. I just can't believe he's back. But I mean, granted, a lot of people who are don't follow Gophers that closely, I'd probably surprised Eric Curry is back too.
Yeah, so Brad Davis in Wisconsin.
Brad Davis is back, tripping people. So with that extra COVID year, there's going to be a lot of vets that you're going to be like, wow, they're still on that team. There's going to be a lot of Aaron Crafts of Ohio State. Back then, there's going to be a lot of Aaron Crafts this year.
Yes, I totally agree. I think that's a great way to put it. Aaron Kraft, a vintage Big Ten player. But I think even though this team's going to be bad, I think there's still a lot of things to watch and a lot of things to get excited about. So I think tune into as many games as you possibly can. But Jackson, do you have any final thoughts to add on to this conversation?
No, I think we covered it all. Just I'm just gonna watch them kind of from afar. I'll probably go to a couple games too, and just enjoy myself and look for better years to come.
Yeah, I saw they got a deal this week. I think they had some lower bowl tickets on sale for like $25 a piece or something.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I might. Hopefully, they keep them up. Because I'm not. I don't have the student ticket package anymore. So
yeah,
I need all the deals to come.
yes, that was a steal of a deal. But uh, that's gonna do it for this edition of North Star Takes podcast. It was a lot of fun talking men's go for men's hoops. Thanks for hopping on the pod, Jackson. I always appreciate your presence here. And again, give this video a like. Spread the word about Go for Hoops. I think everybody should be a fan this year. Like I keep saying, there's no expectations. So even if we lose, it's like you can walk away and be like, that's all right. We'll just move on to the next one. But you can also hit that subscribe button, and we'll probably do another Gopher Hoops video here coming up. And, we're always got plenty of content with the Vikings, the Timberwolves, Wild, Twins, everybody. We're going to talk about them all. So definitely hit that subscribe button to stay caught up. And again, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter at North Star Takes and Instagram at North Star Takes Podcast. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.